What's up, everyone? It's Caddy with Money Vesting. So in this video, we are going to be talking about Tesla and their master plan number 3. And Tesla did announce some updates and some of their plans for the future when it comes to a sustainable, more renewable energy future for the Earth. And the stock price reacted a little bit more negatively. So after hours, spoiler alert, it was down a little bit over 5%, trading as low as about $190. But in this video, I'll go over the slides here, I'll go over some of the presentation notes. It was super long, but we'll try to break that down as quickly as possible. Then, of course, jump over to the technicals and go over the price action from Tesla as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, find it helpful. If you do, make sure that you drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also a link to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. If you're interested in joining us, there are very limited spots left, and you'll get access to all the buy and sell alerts, options alerts, trade ideas, and of course, not to mention a lot of private videos and tutorials and educational lectures, also part of that as well. So link's going to be down below if you're interested in joining. So a sustainable energy economy is within reach and we should accelerate it, is what Tesla mentioned. And this is the main slide where they talked about all the calculations on how the master plan really works. And their sort of calculations suggest that Tesla, or pretty much the entire planet, will need close to 240 terawatt hours of battery storage in order to fully become renewable, right? In order to completely ditch and get rid of fossil fuels. And that's going to be 30 terawatt hours of renewable power storage. And I think that's an 8-to-1 ratio is what they mentioned. And $10 trillion in manufacturing investment is required. And that's about 1% of GDP spread across over the next 10 years. Right now, obviously, it's about 10% of the world GDP, which is close to $100 trillion. And $10 trillion spread across over the next 10 years will be 1%, $1 trillion, what they would need to invest in manufacturing to build out the infrastructure related to this energy future in order to have 240 terawatt hours of battery storage, solar panels, wind, all those things included. And it's only, I was kind of surprised to learn that it's only going to require less than 0.2% of the land area on Earth, which is actually crazy to think about, that in order to power the entire Earth with renewable energy, with sustainable energy, it's only going to require less than 0.5% of the land area. Absolutely crazy to think about. And half the energy required, and zero insurmountable resource challenges. And there were some other things that they also shared, like, for example, this right here is actually going to be their plan for scaling electric vehicles. But this was a slide that was actually quite interesting, and how that kind of stacks up. 240 terawatt hours stacks up in between different sources of this requirement for fossil fuels, right? So for example, switching to EVs is alone going to make up 115 terawatt hours of energy. Renewable energy grid is going to be 24 terawatt hours. Heat pumps to pretty much heat up homes. And right now, the most cost efficient way to heat up homes is obviously natural gas. But heat pumps is going to be 6 terawatt hours of energy. And then we got high temp thermals, 48 terawatt hours. And then planes and ships, 44 terawatt hours of energy. And what's interesting is that he also mentioned that Elon Musk mentioned that in order to make planes and ships more electrified, and the fact that, to completely ditch fossil fuels, their architecture will have to change, right? We'll have to come up with different shapes of the entire ships and planes, which is quite interesting if that's the future that we're headed into, because you're going to be changing the entire industry as a whole. And this is the overall, again, requirement from them. And 30 terawatt hours of solar and wind farms, and $10 trillion in manufacturing capex, as mentioned earlier. And of that 10 trillion, 70% is coming from electric vehicles. Creating that manufacturing, creating that infrastructure for EVs, 70% came from electric vehicles, and only $1 trillion came towards planes and ships. $800 billion, came from high temp thermal, 300 billion heat pumps, and 800 billion also came from renewable energy grid. In terms of their forecasted capex spend, is what collectively the Earth needs to do. This right here was their own presentation, so Global Electric Fleet. And what we have right now is potentially 2 more new models. When it comes to next gen platform, we know that Tesla's building one, and Giga Mexico was actually finalized, and it's going to be in Monterrey, and they are going to be building one of their most efficient giga factories in Mexico with lower cost of labor, with lower cost of services and products. And that being said, eventually we are expecting at least up to 4 new models when it comes to the next generation platform, as little as 2 to as many as 4. And eventually Tesla is most likely going to be selling about close to 10 models between their Model X and Y, S and 3. We've got 4 new next-gen models, and then the Cybertruck and the semis. So collectively, their fleet will potentially grow up to 10 models in the future. And of course, with these models coming online within the next 3 years from Giga Mexico, I think the pricing point is going to be the big topic of discussion. And we already know that there are going to be lower priced models, but $30,000, $25,000, $20,000 is definitely going to create a big surge in demand. Obviously, is going to put a lot of pressure on other OEMs and definitely going to take Tesla to the next level in order to get them to 20 million annual vehicle production by 2030 is what they've also pretty much mentioned. This right here is a good representation of what that $10 trillion investment really means visually, because 20 years of investment at the current rate in fossil fuels between natural gas, coal, and oil will get us to $14 trillion, right? So in other words, from 2022 to 2042, over the next 20 years, if we keep up with this rate of investment in fossil fuels and coal, oil, and natural gas, it's going to come up to $14 trillion. The point that Tesla was pretty much trying to make is that we need to shift our focus over to sustainable energy economy. And if we kind of go through this path, it's going to be $10 trillion. That's all that's required as an investment in renewable energy. This right here was some of the gaps that they need to close in on. So solar and wind deployment, we only deployed 0.36 terawatt hours of 2022 deployment in solar and wind, and that needs to get up to 1 trillion, obviously. 16 terawatt hours. I keep saying trillion because of that T. I do apologize. 16 terawatt hours. It needs to be deployed for vehicle, stationary, and thermal battery production. And right now, we're just sitting at 0.54. And electric vehicle production in millions of years, we need to get up to 85 million, of course. Right now, 2022 deployment was 8 million. And that's an 11x gap that needs to be filled over time. And, you know, the Earth can be 100% sustainable by 2050. Now, again, going back to some of the previous slides here, Tesla's already made about $28 billion of investment year to date. And the investment total, the estimated, is going to be $150 to $175 billion. Of course, not all of the $10 trillion is going to come from Tesla. Not even $1 trillion is going to come from Tesla, because it's a collective measure. It's a collective sort of objective that, you know, all companies, all governments need to come together to kind of scale this with the investments that they're making towards renewable energy. But Tesla in itself will be making $150, $175 billion estimated total investment into this project for the future. Now, talking about the Tesla stock, obviously after hours, it was down a little bit, maybe because of the more vague explanations on the next gen models. We know that they're coming, right? 2 to 4 models will be in the pipeline in the next 2 to 3 years as Giga Mexico gets built up, but there wasn't any details about the specific pricing or the design or what types of vehicles. Are we looking at sedans, SUVs? Are we looking at hatchbacks? What type of vehicles are going to be? And also when it comes to Optimus, they did share some of the other updates as well. And when it comes to heat pumps and HVACs, some updates on those as well. But overall, it was very much focused on sustainable energy and renewable future, kind of going over the math behind how to get there. So which I think that was super interesting, and my phone's about to die. But anyway, Tesla's stock price here, lots of consolidation sideways. So we are seeing Tesla still trade in that range where it's getting rejected at 215, 213 at those levels. And support level is going to stay put roughly around 188. That's where we are right now going into tomorrow because of this gap down. But if we do continue to sell off even further, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla trades all the way down to 160s, as what we have seen before has kind of been like buy the rumor, sell the news type situation for Tesla. And I've already got covered calls on Tesla sitting at 250 strikes, which I'm hoping are going to be probably up close to 70% tomorrow after the open. And if they are up another 80 to 90%, I will be looking to close these calls out for that profit. But really eyeing for that 165 level as a support for Tesla, and resistance is going to stay put at roughly around 215 to 217 inside this red rectangle for the company as well. So overall, I did like everything that Tesla announced. Maybe some more details would have been appreciated, but we understand the secrecy because they don't want to give out too much information, especially when they are in such a fierce competition with a lot of other OEMs. But that being said, Tesla, if they can execute with 20 million vehicles over the long term and they can actually create this sustainability when it comes to energy, solar panels, and wind, easily I could see Tesla long term be at least over $1 trillion, if not more, a couple $1 trillion in market cap in terms of the value of this business will continue to grow if the execution continues to remain strong. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful. If you did, make sure that you drop a like. Let me know your thoughts on Tesla's master plan number 3. What did you make of this day? And again, are you buying, selling, holding? What are your strategies with Tesla? But for me personally, what I'm doing is simply going to be adding more shares at lower prices, at closer to 150s, 140s. I would be very much interested in dollar cost averaging more. And right now we'll have strike prices as much as 250 for Tesla, and that's going to be a good like 75 to 80% range within which I'm actually trading at, right? So 150s is going to be buying opportunities for me. 250s to as much as 275 are going to be covered calls, and that's going to be where the strikes are. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful. Make sure that you drop a like, subscribe, and the link to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. As always, happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.